Sony A7 III, which is this camera, versus Sony A6400, which is this camera. And I found this comparison to be really, really difficult.
Feels like I'm closer than I ever been. I'm closer than I ever been, yeah. Looks like I'm closer.
You probably heard of the phrase comparing apples and oranges, and it all started in 1670 when somebody says, well, it is kind of apples to oysters. That means that something cannot be compared with apples. In 1889, it became more the official apples to oranges, and believe it or not, the Spanish still say apples to pears. But there you go, there's nothing we can do, right?
It goes something like this. There are two items that cannot be compared to one another, or it is an unfair comparison.
So you kind of get what we are saying, right? Here are the 10 main differences for those two cameras. Number one, it is a full frame sensor. The Sony A6400 doesn't have a full frame. It is an APS-C sensor after all. So that is where the apple and oranges come from. But however, both share the same megapixel count, which is the 24.2 megapixel. Both also shoot 4K internally up to 30 frames per second. And the Sony A7 III, you my friend, you have a 30-minute recording level, and the APS-C Sony A6400 doesn't. The Sony A7 III has a dual card slot, Sony A6400 does not. And yes, the Sony A7 III has an IBIS, an in-body image stabilization, and the 6400 does not. Although I can see myself on the A6400 because it has that beautiful flippy screen, right?
Yes.
You don't have a flippy screen, and I don't know why. It's just beyond me. However, you are the low light king. It goes up to 51,200 ISO, which is expandable up to 100,000, something around that. And UART goes up to 32,000, which also is expandable up to, I think, around the 50,000 ISO mark. And yes, the bigger battery on the Sony A7 III obviously lasts about 2.5 hours. And then you have the smaller battery on the A6400, which is about 1.5 hours. Last but not least, it is the price. The Sony A7 III costs around $2,000 US, whereby the A6400 is about $1,000. It's half of the price, and that is for many people a considerable item.
And also where the apples versus oranges comes in.
Pretty much.
It kind of feels like when a football team gets a new aspiring player and the coach doesn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, here's how it first, right? So you have to bear in mind there are seasoned players and the young person comes in, and then the coach says, you get the IBIS because you've been here for a while. But let's get the young person, let's give him the flippy screen, right? He's hungry, he's available, and he can really go for it, right? Let's give the seasoned player a recording limit. Why not, right? But the young guy, well, we don't give him that recording limit because he's hungry, he can really go out. And then let's get the full frame to John, right? He really deserves that because he's been here for a long time. And the young player gets the smaller sensor, APS-C. But he can still run like Roadrunner. You get what I'm saying, don't you? You get what I'm saying.
So your point being is that the cameras can be compared up to a certain level.
Yes. The reason being is I'm currently shooting with the G Master here on this one, 16 to 35 f2.8 and then the 16 f1.4. And as you can see, it is kind of apples and oranges again. This is the full scenario, right? If I put on a 10 to 18 f4 lens on both, then this camera suddenly becomes a Super 35, which is not a full frame anymore. And this camera is just staying as an APS-C sensor. But when I use the G Master lens, which is built for the full frame camera, right? If I put this on the Sony A6400, it suddenly becomes a cropped picture, a cropped lens. And it just doesn't make any sense to really compare those together. So if you are sticking around, at the end of the video I'm getting into more details. However, right now I just want to look at the use case for both cameras and kind of who is this really for. Here's my assessment. Money no object, I would have the Sony A7 III full stop as a main camera, as my proper main setup at home or in my studio, 100%, because I have that one lens that is versatile and I can just use it and can move around in the studio, and that's it. Right?
And the flippy screen then isn't a major thing,
yes,
because you have your...
Absolutely. The flippy screen because it's missing on the A7 III, and I feel like it's crippled for that. And I know I'm gonna get mean comments, but I feel like it is crippled, right? So you have your home setup. However, if money is an object, then I would just go for the A6400, which is you, my friend. You pay $1,000 US, you save $1,000 US, and you can buy yourself 2 nice lenses for that, plus a microphone, plus a tripod.
And you've got a flippy screen.
Voila. And you got a flippy screen, and then off you go, and that's it.
Voila.
Voila. On top of that, think about the occasions where you really film longer than 1.5 hours. You film longer than 2.5 hours. Think about the occasions where you really sit in a dark environment, in a dark room, and you crank up that ISO because that's what you always wanted to do. And yes, you have that low light capabilities with that amazing Sony A7 III camera, but think about the times you have really done that. You really needed that because you want some kind of good light when you produce a video. And really that is an emergency option in my eyes, unless you are going out and shooting at night and have certain needs. The two cameras share very similar specifications when it comes to video. Indeed, the differences mainly concern the sensor size. The entire width of the sensor is used with full pixel readout and no pixel binning, which ensures better quality by using approximately 6K of information that is then subsampled to 4K. Note, however, that at 30p the A7 III crops the sensor by 1.2. The full-frame camera also has the option of recording in APS-C Super 35 mode. In 1080p, both cameras can record up to 120 frames per second, and you can choose to record at that speed in normal mode with sound, or create slow motion footage in camera. You will find 10 picture profiles that can be customized and include many settings for gamma, color mode, black pedestal, etc. Among those options, you will find S-Log2, S-Log3, as well as HLG. And guys, just to be clear, I'm currently using a custom picture profile that didn't come out of the box. In terms of design, the A6400 is visibly more compact than the A7 III. It isn't as wide nor as tall as the full-frame camera due to the positioning of the EVF. The A7 III has a larger grip out front as well, and both are dust and moisture resistant. In terms of autofocus, I felt that it worked better on the A6400, and it well may be that my A7 III test unit did not have the firmware update yet. Overall, it seems that the Sony A7 III produces a slightly better picture in terms of sharpness and colors, but is it worth paying twice as much? Well, that is something you need to decide. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I started my YouTube channel 6 months ago, and I'm really interested in you guys' opinion. Which camera would you choose? Which one would you choose?
Probably the 6400.
6400. I think 6400 is a good choice. I think I really like it. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Jens here from ALLSTARSPACE.
Tony the Car Geek.
See you next time. Thank you for watching. Peace out.
And on my enemies that they should calm down. Oh, no, I got God with me. Oh, cinnamon, eggnog sipping.